Okay, let's unpack this. What happens when you add a whole armory?
Hmm.
I mean, not just a few pistols, but shotguns, assault rifles, lots of ammo, into a game that's, fundamentally built around smashing things up close and flying across rooftops. That's really the core question swirling around the next game in the series, Dying Light, the Beast, based on the material you've shared. So for this deep dive, we're looking at a first preview article from IGN and also an extended gameplay walkthrough that came straight from the Dying Light team themselves.
Right. And our job today basically is to dig into those, pull out the really crucial bits, the surprising details, and just get a handle on what this game's actually shaping up to be. Based only on this stuff, of course. The idea is to give you that clear picture fast so you don't have to wade through it all yourself.
All right, let's dive right into that central piece then, the guns. In a world absolutely defined by melee, right? Dying Light's identity is so tied to that visceral, up-close combat. You feel it in how the infected physically come apart.
Yeah, the dismemberment.
Exactly. And the crafting, turning everyday junk into lethal weapons. And obviously the parkour is your lifeline, is how you survive, how you keep your distance.
Precisely. So throwing guns into that mix, it sounds like it could completely change the game's feel. But what's interesting is the sources are pretty clear it's not just turning into a regular first-person shooter. They actually frame the guns as another layer, just one more part of this bigger, more varied toolkit you have. The comparison they made wasn't really like Call of Duty or anything. It was more towards games like Crysis, maybe, or even, and this one caught my eye, Dishonored, in terms of having creative ways to tackle encounters.
Dishonored. Okay,
Oh.
that's interesting. How does thinking about it like that, like another tool, actually change how you deal with enemies?
Well, what the sources suggest is it gives you options. You might be able to, say, take out a few charging zombies before they even reach you. That's new. But, and this is key, using guns makes noise. A lot of noise, presumably. So it's presented as a strategic choice, a powerful one maybe, but not always the right one. Definitely not the only one.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just about the gameplay changes. The sources also bring back a familiar face.
That's right, yeah. Kyle Crane is back, the protagonist from the original Dying Light. And his situation here sounds pretty rough. Apparently he's been held captive, experimented on for 13 years by this mysterious figure they just call the Baron. So his whole motivation, it seems, is pure revenge against this guy.
And the setting's totally different too, right?
Yeah.
From what we saw and read, it's this new area, Castorwoods Valley, decades after the outbreak started, way more rural. They describe it as a proper AAA open-world survival horror game.
Yeah, and while guns are the flashy new thing, they're not the only addition to your arsenal the sources talk about. They make a point to mention bows again. You know, bows were in Dying Light too, and they stress their importance for ranged stealth before you even get your hands on firearms.
Oh, right, the bows. And speaking of stealth, there was that one detail that really jumped out at me. It wasn't just about shivs or throwing knives for humans. The sources described this really visceral, almost gross method for dealing with zombies. Smearing yourself in their guts to hide your scent.
That's the one. Yeah, they likened it to The Walking Dead. Like, just cover yourself in gore and, well, try to walk among them. It's such a simple kind of primal stealth tool, isn't it? Really shows the desperation.
And you're not always on foot either. That walkthrough showed vehicles are in play now. I think it was a pickup truck.
Yeah, a pickup. Useful for, mowing down zombies, that kind of thing. But it fits the survival theme they mentioned. It can get damaged, even destroyed.
Yeah.
And you need to keep it fueled up. Adds another layer of resource management.
Which kind of brings us to the title itself, Dying Light, the Beast. That's tied to Kyle, isn't it? The result of those experiments by the Baron.
Exactly. This is where it gets really different from, say, Dying Light 2.
Okay, how so? Aiden had his infection-based abilities, right?
Yeah. Aiden's stuff was maybe a bit more subtle, maybe superhuman agility, some zombie-like parkour moves. Kyle, based on these descriptions, sounds like he becomes something much closer to a leaping wrecking ball. That's the quote. So, this beast mode, the way it works according to the sources, is you build up a meter by taking damage, dealing damage. Then you can trigger it deliberately.
And the abilities sound pretty brutal. They talked about literally tearing enemies apart, like really gory animations, almost like Doom's Glory kills, and a big ground pound attack. Good for clearing rooms, apparently. And this extended leap ability.
Ah, yes, the leap. That one's particularly interesting. The IGN preview mentioned something fascinating. Playtesters were actually using that leap to bypass entire parkour sections.
Wait, really? So it's not just for combat?
Apparently not. It suggests you might be able to use these beast powers in ways the designers didn't even fully anticipate, for traversal, for shortcuts.
Huh. So that core parkour mechanic,
Yeah.
could the beast leap actually, like, undermine it a bit if you can just jump over everything? That seems like a potential balance issue based on that source.
It's definitely a point raised by that observation, yeah. Something to watch. And this beast mode ties into progression, too. You hunt down these special infected, they call chimeras, presumably Baron's creations, and you inject their DNA. That unlocks a skill tree for more beast powers. The hope expressed in the material is that those powers get even crazier the further down the skill tree you go.
Okay, so let's talk about this new world, Castor Woods. Sounds like a big shift.
It does. They describe it as a proper open world, not just connected zones. And they want it to feel dynamic, emergent. You might just stumble across some hostile raiders fighting infected, that sort of thing. And it's not all just the industrial factory area we saw in the demo. They mention other biomes, like swamps and national park area. More variety.
And the survival stuff sounds like it's still front and center, constantly needing to look for parts for loot.
Absolutely. Scavenging is key. Searching every nook and cranny. Safe zones are back too, of course. You get your bed to skip the night, UV lights for protection, and the crafting table. The usual loop.
What about the feel of the world, the atmosphere?
They seemed really impressed by it, said it feels like a big step up from Dying Light 2 atmospherically. They highlighted the dynamic weather system specifically. Huge storms rolling in, rain lashing down, wind whipping the trees. Sounds very immersive.
And the night. Oh man, the night sounds like it's back with a vengeance.
Definitely. The source has really hammered this point home. When the sun goes down, it gets dark. Like, properly dark. You need your flashlight, but you have to use it carefully.
They basically said it's designed to be the scariest, most tense part of the game, and that this is for the fans who missed how terrifying the nights were in the first Dying Light.
Yeah, they're bringing back much tougher nighttime enemies. Night creeps were mentioned, and especially the volatiles.
Ah, the volatiles,
That's right.
iconic.
The apex predators, yeah. Kings of the night, as they put it. And apparently, they communicate now. They coordinate. And in these dense woods, sounds incredibly hard to escape them. If one sees you, the chase is on, full stop.
Can you track them?
Your survivor sense helps locate them, yeah. And you can try distractions, like firecrackers were mentioned, but, and this is a crucial detail from the sources, just hiding in tall grass. That's not going to fool them anymore.
Wow, okay, so grass is no longer safe haven. That is a big deal for nighttime survival.
It really changes the dynamic, yeah. Makes the night sound properly threatening again.
So let's circle back to the combat, putting all these pieces together. Both sources seemed really keen on this sandbox idea, that every fight felt like a puzzle with, loads of different ways to solve it.
Exactly. They describe scenarios flowing from, say, stealth takedowns, maybe popping a few guys silently with the bow.
And then suddenly, it all kicks off, and you're in a shell-sputtering shootout with shotguns blazing.
Right. And Kyle's survivor sense plays a big role in enabling that. Because he's been experimented on, his senses are heightened, it helps you plan, it highlights enemies, even color codes them, like orange for melee, red for guns, something like that. It shows you types, positions, gives you the intel to make a choice.
And parkour isn't just for running away or getting across the map.
No, they showed it being used tactically in combat, creating distance, flanking, but also for solving little environmental puzzles. Like in the factory demo, the main door was blocked, so you had to use parkour to find another way in. That whole climb everything, go anywhere philosophy seems very much alive.
What about the enemies themselves? Beyond the standard zombies and those militia guys.
We got glimpses of more. Virals are back, the fast ones, still kind of human, dangerous. Special infected with unique gimmicks, like ones with battery packs that arc electricity, or others carrying explosive canisters you can shoot.
And the chimeras, of course.
The Baron's big, scary mutations, crucial for getting those beast mode upgrades, and they showed off a huge boss version, the Behemoth Chimera. Throws stuff, takes a beating, spawns smaller enemies. Looked like a proper challenge.
That factory demo sequence sounded like it really pulled it all together. Using parkour to get in, using the survivor sense to figure out who's where, maybe taking out some guards quietly with the bow.
And then things escalating, maybe you pull out a shotgun when stealth fails. It showcased that flexibility.
And wasn't there a specific plot detail revealed there about what the Baron is actually doing?
Yeah, a key bit. He's messing with the DNA of these chimera zombies, and he uses some kind of special chemical gas deployed from dispenser devices to actually lure and control them. And Kyle figures out he can find this gas himself and use one of those dispensers. In the demo, it was to lure an escaped chimera they needed to deal with.
Ah, right, the escaped chimera fight. How did that play out?
Sounds tough, big enemy, throws things. Apparently, your regular melee weapons don't do much and ammo is tight. The interesting strategy suggested by the source was to actually fight the weaker zombies it spawns first. Use them to build up your beast mode meter.
And then unleash the beast mode powers on the big chimera itself. That's a cool gameplay loop.
Yeah, using fodder enemies to power up for the main threat. And they also hinted at other tools, things maybe not fully explored in the demo. Like a flamethrower was mentioned, a throwable shock knife. You get the sense, or at least the hope, that the game will keep throwing new weapons and gadgets at you, each with maybe a unique tactical use, to keep expanding that sandbox.
So summing it up then, based on these previews, what's the overall feeling?
I think the strongest impression coming out of the demo descriptions is that guns are definitely a component, but they're not taking over. They're not the main event. Adding them alongside the bows, which sound more robust now, and alongside that core DIY melee, it seems to have made the encounters feel, well, richer, more textured, more options.
Yeah, it sounds promising. Obviously, it's just a demo, just one slice. But based on what they showed and described, if the full game can keep presenting you with situations that really push you to use all those different tools, switching between sneaking, running, shooting, smashing, and going full beast mode, then yeah, Dying Light. The beast could genuinely be a much more interesting evolution for the series than maybe it first seemed.
Definitely. So just to quickly recap those key insights we've pulled out for you from this deep dive. First, guns and other tools look like they're being added as strategic layers, not replacements for the core Dying Light experience. Second, Kyle's beast mode, especially that leap, seems to have unexpected uses beyond just fighting. Third, that gut-smearing tactic is a really vivid new stealth option just for the infected. Fourth, nighttime sounds significantly more dangerous and scary, really leaning into the horror aspect again. And finally, the whole game seems built around this rich combat sandbox, encouraging you to get creative with how you solve problems using multiple approaches.
So hopefully this deep dive has given you a really clear and hopefully engaging picture of what Dying Light, the Beast, is looking like right now, based purely on the info you shared with us.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, building on what we've seen. What's really fascinating here is you've got this progression system promising potentially wilder powers down the line, combined with a toolkit that seems geared towards creative thinking. So the question becomes, how will you decide to tackle the dangers and challenges waiting in Castor Woods when Dying Light? The Beast finally hits on August 22nd.